Hey everyone, Rick Nielsen here, thewebtrainer.com. And in this little video, I'm going to talk a little bit about web hosting. Yes, this is the news, Walter Cronkite. Yes, it says right here I'm a dork, and I have proved that. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about web hosting. I get asked this a ton. I get people that ask me about who do I use, who's better, why should I use this, why should I use that. I'll give you a little brief overview about what web hosting actually is. I'm not going to get into all the bowels of it, but essentially web hosting is you as a small business owner, entrepreneur, salesperson, whoever, if you need to put up a website or several websites, you go to a hosting provider and you rent space on their server, or a server is nothing more than a fancy computer that's got more fans, more processors, but it's just like the one that you have at home, just a little fancier. You essentially rent space on their server, and they hook you up to the World Wide Web. So you're just using their stuff, and they're taking care of all the network and everything for you. The only thing you're responsible for is your files that you put up there. So that's essentially what web hosting is. It's not real complicated. You need to, depends on what you're trying to do. Now, I'm focusing more on small businesses that don't need complicated type of hosting. The other thing you want to know about hosting is there's different types of hosting. There is the first kind, which is known as shared. And shared hosting is where your website and a whole crap load of other ones are all running on the same machine. Now, it could be a few hundred, it could be a few thousand. Now, that's good for numerous reasons. One, it's cost effective for the hosting company because they can get a lot of use out of that particular server, but that also keeps your cost way down. To have a whole server for yourself, and I'll get into that in just a minute, would be ridiculously expensive depending on what you're doing. Now, at one time in my illustrious career as a internet guru guy, I had several racks of my own web hosting server. So I did all my own web hosting. I took care of the network, or I had Mr. Rob take care of it for me. I set up all the servers. I had dozens of servers. We did everything ourselves because one time when I first started in this business, probably every 3 months we had to keep moving hosting companies because they kept going belly up. I'd get there one day, the phone would be ringing off the hook. I'm like, what the hell's the matter here? And all of a sudden, where's my website? Where's my website? Where's my website? Pick up the phone, call, gone, out of business. So I finally got sick of that crap, and I went out and I bought a bunch of servers and found a data center and started putting things in, and it was trial by fire. I figured out how to do web hosting. But at some point, I got tired of maintaining everything, and I went to a provider that I had done some research on and felt that they were the best solution for small businesses, especially in the shared web hosting field. There's another type of web hosting called VPS, which is virtual private server, and what that is they take a full web server and they use specialized software that takes and slices off maybe 5-10 sections of the server's resources and actually makes it its own little computer. So think of it as a tomato, and you slice that tomato into 10 slices. It's all still part of the same tomato, but there's 10 different slices. In each one of those slices is your own operating system, and you can do whatever you want to do in that server. That particular section of that server is all yours and yours only, so you're only sharing it with 10 people. The other type of web hosting is dedicated servers. And a dedicated server means that you get the entire server all to yourself. You can put your own websites on, you have what's known as root access, or you can get right into the bowels of that server and you can do whatever you want to do in that server and you don't have to worry about anybody else being in it. Now, that obviously is the most expensive option. And as you grow in your business, if it gets more complicated, you'll have multiple servers and redundancy, and you'll have failover and all that other fun business. I think Google has like 400,000 servers or some crap like that. But here's some of the advantages and disadvantages that you really, really need to think about. One, let's talk about shared hosting first. Shared hosting, the biggest advantage to you is the cost. I mean, the companies that we utilize, I was told not to use that word. The company we use, you can get the hosting for as low as like $7 a month. $7 a month, and you have this massive server with a team of network people that take care of this for you. That's a pretty good deal. One of the downsides to using shared is that you are sharing it with hundreds or even thousands of other websites. If somebody uploads something to that server that's malicious, or somebody wrote some bad code and some hacker got into it, they could actually get into your site and really screw things up. And I've seen this happen quite a few times. And if somebody's got, I remember back when I had my own hosting, I was hosting a data center with another guy, and he was doing his own hosting, and he had a shared environment. Well, one of his customers was being featured on Good Morning America, and they didn't tell him. And as soon as it hit Good Morning America, it brought the server to a screeching halt. So hundreds of other websites paid the price for that little puppet show. So that's also something that can happen. If you're running multiple websites on the same shared host, and that entire server goes down, all of them are down. Plus, there's certain configurations that certain websites need that shared environments will not allow because it's too big of a security risk. So you're kind of limited to certain things that you could do in a shared environment. However, most small businesses will probably never ever need those. So that's kind of the pros and cons of that. A VPS, I'm not going to get into all that, but again, you have you have a few people on the server, but you can do a little bit more with it, and obviously the cost is a little bit more. And then obviously a dedicated server, you kind of have run of the gamut there. You can do whatever you want on that server. Now the disadvantage of that is obviously it costs a lot more money to do a dedicated server. Plus, you do not have as much power in that one server. For example, if I hurry my butt along here a little bit, I believe that this server that I'm running with the provider that I have, this shared server, I don't know if I can find it here, but I believe it has like 36, no, there's my server status, server information. It says that I have 8 processors on this particular machine. And it has, I don't know how many, I can't even read how many terabytes there are. Holy mackerel, there's 2 terabytes. There's 2 terabytes of space on this particular server. So it's a big, fast server. But you got a lot of other resources. That one of the dedicated servers that I have has 1 processor and only has 4 gig of RAM in it, which we're already maximizing that. So it just depends on your situation. 99% of most small businesses that we deal with, they need just simple shared web hosting. The other thing you need to look for when you're doing web hosting, or when you're looking at web hosting, is do you need a Linux platform or do you need a Windows-based platform? If you're just running WordPress and or you're using open source or using anything PHP, my suggestion is go with Linux. It's just a cheaper platform, and to me, it's more. I think it's more reliable. If you're running anything that like ASP or Cold Fusion or Java or anything like that, you might want to look at doing a Windows. And so this comes down to who do we use. Again, since I know the web hosting business quite well, I looked at a lot of different companies, and we decided to hang our hat on HostGator. Yes, HostGator. They've been around for a while. I've read the gentleman's story who started the business. He started from scratch. He started it in his dorm room. I really admire what he's done. And they use a data facility that's in Dallas called The Planet. It has now changed names to something else. I'm not going to get into all that. But they started this business from practically nothing, HostGator, and I believe they have 7,000 servers that run all their websites on. And the thing that's the most impressive with them is this. Their customer service kicks ass. I've done business with a lot of other web hosting companies. Most of them have horrible customer service. I have had I shouldn't say so many issues. I've had issues of customers breaking their sites that HostGator has helped me fix. The longest period of time I've ever had to wait either on hold on the phone or in the chat window to ask them a question has been 6 minutes. That's the longest I've ever had. I got on the phone the other day, I had a question about one particular thing. I waited on hold for 30 seconds, and they were on it. The other thing that's really good is they don't outsource any of their help. It's all right there in Dallas, and I think they got one in Houston too. Everybody is local. There's nothing, they don't farm anything out, and that's kind of their big thing. And their customer service is just great. We've never had any issues with the servers. We've never had any downtime. I mean, I'm sure maybe there has been, but we've never seen it. And they just are spot on the best for small businesses. There's other companies out there that probably have equal service. I have just found these guys to be the best, and their prices are the most reasonable. I mean, they're just a tremendous asset to your business to have them on board. You ask them a question, they'll fire something back. If there's something you don't understand, they have all kinds of help videos, all kinds of training. Not as good as the web trainer, but they do. They're awesome. So if you need a web host and you're looking for a web host and it's one that you have to, I absolutely 100% recommend HostGator. They just do the job better, I think, than anybody else does. Now, you're going to read some shit online where people say, oh, they didn't get back to me. Well, some people, they bitch if their ice cream was cold. So I've been around long enough to know what's good and what's not, and I think they are by far the best when it comes to shared hosting for Linux anyway. They don't have any shared for Windows yet. So, but if you're looking for hosting, if you look in the post below, I have a link and a coupon code. I think it's the web trainer. You go ahead and put that in. I think you get your first month free, or you get it for a penny or something like that. So I hope that answers some questions about web hosting, because I get asked that a ton. So hope it helps. Gang, this is Rick here. I will see you at the next video. Later.